What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you all are doing well, and welcome back to another episode of Two Mics All Sports. I'm your host, Zachary Chaby, joined by my co-host, Joe Broll. What's going on, man?
What's up, Zach? How you doing?
I'm good, can't complain. And today we're going to be giving you guys an episode we haven't done so far ever since we've started Two Mics All Sports, and we wanted to make sure we did this before the All-Star break and give a quick in-depth about them, the Sixers. This video is going to be strictly about the Sixers, talking about them and everything that's going on with them so far, close to the All-Star break. Before we talk about any games in particular, obviously the trade deadline wrapped up at 3 p.m. yesterday, and the Sixers didn't make any moves to improve the team, to say the least, but they did make some moves and traded some players. In particular, their 20-year-old Jared McCain, second-year guard out of Duke. He was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder for a 2026 Rockets first-round pick and 3 second-round picks. So the first thing I have to ask you, Joe, is what was your initial reaction to this? And now, close to 48 hours out, how are you feeling about it as a whole?
Initial reaction was that I was shocked by the fact that out of the key future pieces of this team that they thought they were going to ride with, along with Maxey and Edgecombe, but now, 48 hours out, I like that they got multiple picks, but I felt like if you're going to lose a guard in your guard room, because obviously we know their guard room is full, I feel like there was a lot of other names that you could have gotten and still gotten the amount of, maybe not the first round, but at least a couple seconds.
Yeah. Well, at least my initial reaction, because I was just walking into class when it happened, I was like pretty pissed off, because in the sense where it's like he's still a young guy, and like yes, he came off an injury, and yes, he's like taken like second fiddle to a lot of guys this year, but at the same time, you can't, like, getting Edgecombe was like a blessing. You did not expect to get the third pick. You got very blessed in the lottery. Yes, I like that they got a first round pick from, especially this year's draft. I just hope the pick falls well. It basically just depends on how the Rockets finish here down the stretch. If they make it's most likely they're going to make the playoffs and be a pick in the 20s. But we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, it's like, right, like, I was expecting a corresponding move off of this, and this move just seems like it was used to duck the luxury tax, which Embiid himself said he did not want the organization doing. And this is just a disservice by Josh Harris, who was in the Epstein files, by the way. So that's anything of telling. He should just sell the team at this point, because he's doing a disservice to not only Philly, but the other team he owns in the Devils and the Washington Commanders. But it's like, and then it goes on Daryl Morey and stuff like that. Ever since he's gotten here, he's made good draft picks, but that's probably about it. His trades that he's made have made no sense. Like, the free agents he bring in don't pan out. Like, obviously, we'll talk about it now with Paul George. He was playing at a better rate, but he got suspended for 25 games for PED use, obviously. And that's offense and good defense. A guy who can guard 1 to 5 that you lose immediately. Obviously, he was playing good down the stretch, but maybe that's the reason why. He said he was using it for his mental health, but in today's sports world, we never know why these players use what they use. So, but let me ask you this then. With the trade of McCain, Paul George not playing, what players do you think are going to have to step up the most in these next few games and the second half of the season? Because Paul George won't be able to come back until at least 10 games left in the season.
Oubre, I feel like needs to step up a little bit. Definitely Quentin Grimes, because I thought he was going to be traded away here at this deadline. But they're showing faith in him on that catch and shoot, which we saw McCain do as he was getting better and healthier. So I feel like he needs to step up in that role that we thought McCain would play.
Exactly. No, and I think it's the sense, and I think I talked about this a little bit with some people I talked to about the whole Grimes and McCain situation. Grimes is a free agent after this season. If he plays well down the second half and is a huge playoff performer, he's probably going to want good money in free agency that we cannot pay. And another thing is, Quentin Grimes has already kind of hit his peak. He kind of reminds me of like a Jordan Clarkson. Like, he can go to any team, find his role, maybe average 13, 14 a game, and be that type of catch and shoot guy, like you said. McCain is already a good catch and shoot guy, but he could develop into something more. Him going to the Thunder now is not going to have immediate implications, but maybe 2-3 years down the road, when the Thunder can't afford some of these free agents that they have, maybe like Cason Wallace or AJ Mitchell, McCain will be there already, still on his rookie contract, and might be up for. I know this is crazy, but it's also not crazy. If he gets playing time a few years down the road, he could be a 6-man of the year contention with how loaded that team is, and if he continues to improve his 3-point rate. Obviously, I think the big dilemma that people talked about was that with the whole thing about, like, you don't have too many guards, and I understand that. But at the same time, there's ways you can work around things to improve things, and it just seems like they're not trying to do that. Like, you duck the luxury tax by trading one of your younger guys that could be a mainstay here and still come off the bench. It's just because you have too many guards doesn't mean you can't maneuver them around different places. It's not impossible to do, but it seems like they don't want to do that. And then they obviously traded Eric Gordon to the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't even know why he was still on this team. And then they talk about for weeks that they're going to trade Andre Drummond, and they didn't even do that, and he's still on the team. But to move on to a more positive note, obviously the Sixers, they played last night, so we'll get a little bit more in depth to the Lakers game. But before that, they were on a 5-game winning streak. Obviously, lost to the Knicks and then lost a terrible game to the Charlotte Hornets, who I want to give a quick shout out to them. They have been amazing. They're 11-1 with their starting lineup, and now they just traded for Kobe White at the trade deadline, which I think is a huge move. But let's get more in depth with the Sixers here. So obviously, we talked about it. They've been playing well and stuff like that, and their 5-game win streak has showed that. It started here with the Milwaukee Bucks game, where obviously Paul George, the last game he played before he got suspended, had 32 points, 9 3-pointers, and it was a great game to watch after the embarrassing fight they put up against the Charlotte Hornets. And Joe, out of these 5 games win streak before this, it was snapped by the Lakers last night. What game impressed you the most out of this team?
I think it was that Milwaukee Bucks game. I think that they showed versatility and being able to lose 2 rough games. The next game where you got fucked over late in the game and where you got creamed by Charlotte, and you were able to go back against a decent Milwaukee team and beat them.
Yeah, and I think it's in the sense where it's like you see this team and it's like they've had ups and downs, and like just to have this refreshing, I think 5-game win streak has been huge. But I think the game I want to talk about in particular was definitely the Clippers game, because that was the first time I've seen in a while they never took the foot off the gas. Like, usually we've seen it, we saw it even last night. They'd like to stray away in the third quarter and get these teams back into the game. They didn't allow the Clippers to do that. Obviously, I know James Harden wasn't playing because there's obviously a pending trade that happened between him and Darius Garland. At this point, James Harden getting traded is a 2-year yearly trade deadline tradition at this point. So, but with the whole thing about that, it's like, but another guy I want to talk about that was impressive in that Clippers game, and why I'm choosing that in particular, is Dominic Barlow. Like, he has been amazing, and he deserves the standard contract he got, and I want to give him a round of applause. Like, he has been great. Like, what he's been able to do here ever since he bet on himself. He got a 2-way contract and bet on himself to try to perform, and he's been doing that, and he deserves this contract. He even did well last night. But in the sense where he's been great on defense, he keeps elevating his 3-point shot, and he's a great defender. So I think him being our power forward that we didn't expect to have coming into the season, and being in the role he stepped into, I think has been huge for this team. But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to the guys that have been part of this win streak. It's Maxey and Edgecombe, like we have pictured here, and then also Joel Embiid actually playing meaningful games and putting up points. He's been good. Embiid, I'm surprised he didn't win Player of the Month last year, because he was insane in January when he actually played. And this team looks like a cohesive unit when they're all on the court together. And yes, they have off days. Yes, they have good days. But at the end of the day, when it seems like they're all on the court together as a cohesive unit, in the first half it looks well. But like we'll talk about here in the next few minutes with the Lakers game, the second half seems to be their kryptonite, especially that third quarter.
Yeah, agreed. That third quarter has been killing them all season.
So let's just get right into it then with the Lakers game then. Obviously, they played last night. Per usual, they were up after the first, at halftime. Embiid had 35 points. Good performance with Embiid, but that was really stretched out from his first half, where I believe he had 24 points and wasn't able to do that much. Tyrese Maxey picked it up a lot in the second half. But another thing is, let's look at these 3-point percentages. Dominic Barlow 0 of 1, Kelly Oubre 3, Embiid 1 of 2, but Edgecombe 3 of 7, and Maxey 1 of 9. He didn't knock down a 3-pointer until I think under 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I know guys have off days, but it's gotta be to the point where it's like, you got to find a way to do something with that, and it just seems like they are very highly reliant on that 3-point ball, and it just does not work. When it doesn't work for them, they don't know what to do. And then also, Luka Doncic went out in the early second quarter and didn't return, but then obviously the Lakers just got Austin Reeves back on their road trip against the Brooklyn Nets, and he balled out in that fourth quarter. He had 35 points. And that's another thing I want to talk about is, like, not only does it seem like their play goes down, but their defensive intensity takes a massive hit. And I think it showed in the final possession. Joel Embiid, or they were down 2 points because Maxey just hit a layup to make it a 2 point game. If they get a stop, they can tie or take the lead with a three. And instead, they double Austin Reeves, which makes sense. Joel Embiid is left in the paint with a decision. He decides to take the guy with the ball and leaves a wide open dunk for Rui Hachimura, icing the game. And it's just like, it's the classic Sixers, though, when it comes to like, oh, they think they have a chance. Because I don't know if you saw that shot Edgecombe hit late in the game. He stole the ball, pulled up back from three, and absolutely drained it, which was amazing. But it seems like we see this over and over again when they blow these leads. And it's like, you could have easily won this game. Yes, Austin Reeves was hot in the fourth quarter, but even then, if you just controlled and did what you needed to do, you would have won this game easily. And it just seems like it was wasted possession after wasted possession, just chucking up shots. The more you spend in the 25 shot clock, the more wasted possessions you're going to get. It just seems like in the third quarter, especially, especially when they have a bad third quarter. Like, I mean, they had 28 points. That's probably one of their better third quarters of the year, but still, like, a bad third quarter can always transition into a bad fourth quarter, I believe.
Yeah, especially if you're like coming out of the locker room, you got to come out hot in that third quarter. You got to maintain momentum because obviously the other team is thinking in that locker room, hey, we need to go out there. Like we still got a full another half to play, and if you're up, and especially like the dominant first and second quarters we've seen throughout the season with this team, you got to come out that third quarter and absolutely dominate and kill any hopes that they have of potentially coming back early.
Be tops of the East right now if they were just able to do that in a few more games. It kind of seems like when especially these games, I'm not saying this game was like over, but there's points in a season and points in games where if you coming out of the first half, going into the second half, if you have a good third quarter, you can put the game to bed. And that's what I talked about with the Clippers game. That finally looked like a game where they kept the foot on the gas and did that. And then they did it the next night against the Warriors. Like, that's the first time in a while I've seen them win it back to back that impressive. And then they go into this Lakers game where they could have won and they didn't. And now this transitions into the final games of before their All-Star break. But before we do that, I want to give a quick round of applause to Tyrese Maxey. Not only is he an All-Star, but he is an All-Star starter. Just a round of applause for him. He's been having an impressive season. He's done what he's needed to do all year, and he's the reason why the Sixers are at where they're at right now. So what are your thoughts so far on what Tyrese Maxey's been able to do, and do you think he could reach a higher peak that he already has right now?
Yeah, obviously you could go over the edge after this All-Star break and keep going toward that MVP that we know he could be this season. But at the same time, he could go the other way and underperform riding this All-Star slump and not get and fall off and just rely heavy on Embiid and Edgecombe, which I doubt will happen because we've seen it in the past where he's still that great player.
And obviously, Maxey, he was incredible to start the season off, like with his point averages, and then this thing has been nice is he's kept it consistent. I believe he's dipped down to about 28.2 points per game, averaging that, which is still at a great clip, and what he's been able to do is great. And the only thing issue I would probably have, or I would say, is probably he's been a little bit inconsistent these past few weeks. Like, he'll have a good game and then he won't be able to hit a shot, and that just comes with like being an NBA player. Like, it happens with everyone. So, but I think if he can find that consistent base we saw in the early season, then it's gonna be tough to tough to stop this team if Embiid's playing. Edgecombe, I just am more impressed by VJ Edgecombe by the day. Like, he's developed a 3 point game that he barely had coming out of Baylor, and he's just elevated again and again and again. It's like even contested, like the three he hit last night, he steals the ball, goes all the way back to the 3 point line, chucks it up, and just drains it. Like, I know this is crazy comparison, but I'm seeing early signs of a Dwayne Wade game in VJ Edgecombe, just the way he's able to attack, the way he's able to shoot the three. He's just improving day by day, and if he continues to do that, he's going to be a guy to be reckoned with. And like they call it the box office backcourt, because they are. Maxey, when he's on it, he's on it. Edgecombe, when he's playing well, he's playing well. And these two guys just mesh together so well with their athleticism, their happy-go attitude, and just what they want to do to succeed for this basketball team is what I love to see. And good to know that we have a future when it comes to finally getting past, I feel like, the Joel Embiid era, because we're still in it, although Maxey is the main guy on this team. But as long as he's here, we're still in that era of Joel Embiid basketball. So
yeah, I like the physicality in Edgecombe, and he's definitely improved because we saw the big thing when we first drafted him was that 3-point shot. Obviously, he's draining that now, so we can't even really complain.
Exactly. And we already knew his athleticism was through the roofs coming out of the draft. But then, did you see Quinn Grimes dunk last night on Jake LaRavia? That was a poster alert right there. Like we talk about him possibly getting traded, but his aggressiveness as like a catch and shoot guy is one of the best I've seen in a while. So, but looking at the outlook now, their last 3 games before the break, tomorrow night at Phoenix. They still have 2 more games on this West Coast trip so far that they are 2-1, I believe. And then you have Phoenix tomorrow night at 9, Portland on Monday night at 10, and then the final game before the All-Star break. I think it's a massive game. You have the New York Knicks on a Wednesday night. Not only is it the Knicks, if you win that game, you win the season series. And this early in the season, that could pay huge dividends down the road if you and the Knicks are fighting for playoff positioning. Because I think this Sixers team cannot fall into the play-in. I think that 100% cannot happen. If they fall into the play-in, I don't like their chance, I think. And a lot of I think they can win the play-in game. I just would rather see them have a chance to be in a playoff series as a top 6 seed and see how that matches up than them falling into the play-in. Because anything could happen in the play-in game. Injuries and stuff like that. I know injuries are part of the game, but it makes more sense, and I think it would benefit them a lot more if they finish top 6 than in the play-in. And that next game could be a massive dividend. How could you see things playing out before the All-Star break here with these last 3 games?
Yeah, obviously, I think it's all momentum in sports. If you take these 3 games, you go to the All-Star break feeling great about yourselves, and you get that nice, calm, relaxing break. But then again, if you lose the 3 games, you're like, shit, what the fuck are we gonna do? And you gotta really put foot to the gas when you get back from the break. But I agree with what you were saying with the Knicks at the end of the season. And if you do go to that play-in, you got to think you're playing a lot more games down the road if you do win. So you need that time rest if you don't get the play-in, and you need to not get hurt if you are in it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's in the sense where it's like you're 29-22 right now. You could either finish 32-22, 31-23. I think you at least need to take 2 out of these 3 next games just so like you're feeling good, because like position wise they're 6th, I believe, in the Eastern Conference, but they're right there with teams like Cleveland, Toronto, all these teams. Like the second half of the season, you could just, with how close the standings are right now, if you just play better than most of the field, you're going to have a higher playoff position. I think the number 1 seed is going to be the Detroit Pistons unless like something crazy happens. They've just been playing very well, although they did lose last night to the Washington Wizards, which I was shocked about. And like, I don't know if you saw the amount of trades that the Wizards made. Like the Wizards and the Jazz were definitely the teams with the most action, to say the least, about the trade deadline. So, yes. But when it comes to the Sixers case, it's like, play the style of basketball that you need to do to win. But the biggest thing I'm harping on this team is find a way to play your winning style of basketball all 4 quarters. It's not rocket science. If you're able to play good basketball and your winning style of basketball for at least 3 out of the 4 quarters, that 4th quarter could be a breeze through. The Thunder are able to do it all the time, and I know the Thunder have a deep team, and those players they're the reason why they're the NBA champions right now, because they've built a good core. But the Sixers don't have a bad core. Obviously, they got rid of some guys that could be meaningful, like Jerry McCain, and they don't have Paul George. But this team's still, I think, good enough to have a cohesive unit to where if they just play better in the 3rd quarter, it's going to lead to a better 4th quarter and much easier games, less stressful games. Because I'll say, for at least for me, I'm done having my heart pressure go up every 4th quarter because they don't know how to hold on to a lead or win a game down the stretch. So, But before we wrap things up, is there anything else in particular that you're hoping to see in this final few games, or before? Obviously, like I said in the beginning of the video, we'll do more in-depth, probably close to the playoffs, about this team and how their season really went. And with the NBA, we'll probably, during the All-Star break, we'll try to do like maybe like an NBA recap of some teams and stuff like that. But before we get to All-Star break, is there anything in particular that you really want to see out of the Sixers team so we can feel confident going into the All-Star break?
No, I just want to see them not struggle in the 3rd quarter. That's the biggest thing I want to see right now.
Okay. I'm just going to agree with you because that's, I think, the main thing I've been harping on for a while now. But as we usually do, Joe, do you want to give the audience what to expect in the near future?
The near future, Obviously, thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. But Flyers go to their break coming up, so we might do a podcast recapping the first half of their season. I know me and Zach were talking about the Olympics. We might do a couple episodes on that and just saying what's going on there. MLB Phillies end to start preseason. I meant at the end of May. End of February. So other than that, just keep tuning in. We got a lot of big plans coming towards you.
Yeah, like you said, if for the Olympics part of things, if there's any sport that you want us to cover about the Olympics, just let us know. And we know a little bit about it, but we'll be honest, we'll have to do some research. But if there's any sport that you guys are really interested in watching this year at the Olympics, let us know, and we can give you our thoughts about what's going on before or afterhand. And like Joe said, we have the Flyers. Obviously, we talk about the Sixers negatively. The Flyers are even more down in the dumps. So, but we'll talk about them more when we get to the first half recap. And then MLB is right around the corner. Pitchers and catchers are going to be reporting soon. So expect in the next few weeks or so, probably our predictions as we get closer to opening day and stuff like that. But like I said, this obviously using a new platform here. Like I said, if you guys follow my wrestling podcast, this platform is what we'll be using probably for the foreseeable future and stuff like that. But like I keep saying, whatever you guys want to see, let us know and we'll get it to you. So, but that will wrap things up for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this Sixers talk. Zach and Joe signing out. Peace.